Imagine this. In World War II, you charge into battle not with a rifle, but with a medieval longbow and a Scottish sword. Sounds like fiction, doesn't it? But it really happened. Meet Lieutenant Colonel John Mad Jack Churchill, the man who fought in World War II with a longbow and sword. In an age of machine guns and tanks, Jack showcased his skills in his own unique way, playing the bagpipes as he shot arrows and swung his sword. The original Deadpool of the battlefield, here's the incredible story of the sword-wielding commando, Mad Jack. Jack Churchill was born on September 16, 1906, in British Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. Because his father was a colonial officer, he spent his childhood traveling around the world before settling in Surrey, England. His full name was John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill. He graduated from the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, and joined the Manchester Regiment. In the 1930s, he served in Burma, Myanmar, where he became known for his fearless and adventurous nature. Once riding his motorcycle 2,400 kilometers across India, and even crashing into a water buffalo. He also learned to play the bagpipes and received the India General Service Medal. Finding peacetime life dull, he left the army in 1936. Afterwards, he worked as a journalist, model, and archer, representing Britain at the 1939 World Archery Championship in Oslo. He also appeared in films like The Drum and The Thief of Baghdad. When World War II began in 1939, he was called back to service. Equipped with his sword, bow, and bagpipes, Jack returned to the battlefield, beginning the legendary adventures that earned him the nickname Mad Jack Churchill. In May 1940, as Nazi Germany blitzed into France, Captain Mad Jack Churchill's unit fought rearguard actions during the desperate retreat to Dunkirk. Jack's unique weapons soon came into play. While on patrol near the village of Lepinette, his company walked into a German ambush. With his men pinned down, Jack drew his longbow, yes, a real longbow, and shot a German sergeant with an arrow, scoring what is often called the only longbow kill of the Second World War. The enemy likely had no idea what hit them, a silent arrow out of the darkness. Jack then unleashed bursts from his unit's machine guns until ammo ran dry, buying time. Ultimately, though wounded in the shoulder, he led the survivors of his company to slip through enemy lines under cover of night, guiding them to safety. This extraordinary action at Lepinette, combining medieval weaponry with modern grit, earned Churchill the Military Cross for gallantry. It's worth noting that Jack later downplayed the famous arrow incident. He claimed a truck ran over his bows earlier in the campaign, implying the story was exaggerated. But, whether myth or fact, the legend of Jack's longbow was born. As he quipped to a friend, "There's nothing worse than sitting on your bum, doing nothing because the enemy leaves you alone. Pitch in." And Jack certainly pitched in. By June 1940, Jack Churchill had fought from the Ardennes to Dunkirk. He even made it to the beaches of Dunkirk by bicycle, with his longbow slung on the bike frame. Amid the chaos of the evacuation, he refused to panic. A fellow soldier recalled Jack calmly walking around with his sword and longbow as if on exercise. He escaped Dunkirk by Royal Navy boat, along with thousands of others. But for Jack, the war was just getting started. When Churchill returned to England, he was looking for ways to continue his adventure from where he had left off. Soon, he heard about the formation of an elite new unit, the commandos. This was just the kind of thing Jack would love. He volunteered immediately and joined the tough commando training held in the Scottish Highlands. While the training was still underway in 1941, Jack married his sweetheart, Rosamund Denny. Later, Jack would say, "I live for action." And indeed, he would find more than enough of it. On the morning of December 27th, 1941, Major Jack Churchill was at the forefront of a daring raid on the German-occupied coast of Norway. The operation, codenamed Operation Archery, targeted Vågsøy Island and the nearby town of Moløy. Their mission was to destroy the German garrison and the critical fish oil factories in the area. In the darkness of night, British landing craft cut through the icy fjord waters. Standing on the ramp of the lead craft, sword in hand and bagpipes tucked under his arm, was Jack Churchill. As soon as the landing craft hit the shore, Jack leapt forward like an arrow, plunging into knee-deep water. Then he lifted his bagpipes to his shoulder and began to play March of the Cameron Men with all his strength. The wail of the pipes echoed off the cliffs in the cold morning of 1941. The German sentries were unnerved by the sound. While the Germans were still stunned, Churchill hurled the first grenade at them and drew his sword, charging forward with his commandos. A war correspondent described Jack as charging into the thick smoke, sword flashing, shouting as he went. To the bewildered German soldiers, he must have looked like a warrior out of another age. Within minutes, Churchill and his men had smashed through the enemy defenses. They silenced the coastal battery at Moløy and cleared the trenches one by one. Jack personally captured several German soldiers at sword point. It was a scene straight out of the history books. And that's exactly how it would be remembered. Thanks to Churchill's reckless courage and unconventional tactics, the Vågsøy raid ended in success. The commandos quickly wiped out or captured the entire coastal garrison. Enemy ships in the harbor were sunk, and the fish oil depots were set ablaze. By noon, the British forces had withdrawn from the island with minimal losses. For his heroism during this operation, Jack received another military cross. And with it, Mad Jack increased not only his fame, but his legend. After the raid, footage was even taken of Jack playing the bagpipes on deck while his fellow commandos performed Scottish dances. Those who had lived through that wild raid in Norway returned home with stories of Mad Jack they would tell for the rest of their lives. After World War II, you might think Mad Jack would settle into a quiet retirement. But no, Jack was unstoppable. He found new outlets for his boundless energy. Remaining in the Army, he completed parachute training and joined the Seaforth Highlanders. In 1948, during the turbulent final years of the British Mandate in Palestine, he was stationed there. There, he displayed a different kind of heroism. When violence erupted in Jerusalem, Lieutenant Colonel Churchill helped evacuate more than 500 patients, students, and staff from Hadassah Hospital. After the Hadassah convoy massacre, Jack organized armored vehicles and led them through dangerous routes, saving hundreds of civilians. Though unlike his wartime heroics, his courage and skill once again saved lives. After Palestine, Churchill's path took him to Australia, where he served as an instructor at a land-air warfare school. Naturally, he found a new adventure: surfing. In his late 40s, and still an active duty officer, he learned to surf. Jack quickly became an avid surfer, even designing and building his own surfboards. He was likely one of the first British colonels to battle the Australian waves. Still fond of machinery since childhood, he later took up restoring old steam launches when he returned to England and built remote-controlled model warships, purely as hobbies. Finally, In 1959, Lieutenant Colonel John Churchill retired from the British Army. But the Mad Jack legend lived on even in peacetime. He became the subject of comics and books, remembered as the man who fought with sword and bow in World War II. In civilian life, however, he was surprisingly modest. According to his son, Jack was a calm, peace-loving man at home. Jack himself would wryly advise, "If you smile at people, they're less likely to shoot at you." Every day on his train commute, Jack would suddenly hurl his briefcase out of the window, leaving fellow passengers dumbfounded. But of course, Jack had a reason. His garden was right beside the railway, so he threw the case directly into his backyard. That way, he didn't have to carry it from the station home. Imagine the shock of first-time passengers watching a dignified elderly gentleman toss his briefcase out of the train. Perfectly normal in Jack's world. Jack Churchill spent the rest of his life peacefully. He played his bagpipes at family gatherings, attended memorials wearing his sword and kilt. In 1996, at age 89, he passed away, leaving behind an unforgettable legacy. If this story moved you, hit the like button and subscribe to Traces of Valor. Your support keeps these forgotten heroes alive. And tell us, what did this story make you feel? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.